itself. We can also create lists within lists. It's a bit more complex, and let's see how it can be stored within a list can be stored within another list. Let's run the following. This will output 5 book, it's a string, and then another list inside of it, which contains 34 and hello string, and then the first list is continued. So the first output is the entire data variables value, which stores an integer, a string, a list, and a Boolean data type. The second output is the list stored inside of our data variable, which is located at index 2 and includes an integer and string data type. And of course we can access lists within lists. In our last cell, we saw how to output the list stored within the data variable. Now we'll see how can we access the items within the inner list. To access items within a list normally, we simply use bracket notation and the index location. And when that item is another list, you simply add a second set of brackets after the first set. So let's check out an example and come back to it. If we run that cell, the first output will be 34. This is because our first index location is accessing the second index in data, which is a list. Then the second index location specified is accessing the value in that list at location 0, which results in the integer of 34. And the second output is hello. We get this result because we declared a variable to store the value of index 2 of our data variable, which happens to be a list. Our inner list variable is now equal to 43 and hello string. And we access the value at index 1, which is the string hello. So to get a little bit more understanding of how multiple indexing works, let's check out this table. We have index location, value at location, data type, and whether it can be indexed again. Notice that strings can also be indexed further. If you want to only print out the B in book, you would simply write the following. Now, we can change values in a list. When you work with lists, you need to be able to alter the value of the item within the list. It's like redeclaring a normal variable to a different value, except you access the index first. So let's run the following cell, and before we altered the value at index 0, it outputs 5, 10, 15, 20. Once we accessed the 0 index and changed its value to 100, the list ended up changing to 100, 10, 15, 20. Now, when variables are declared, the value assigned to put into a location in a memory. These locations have a specific reference ID. It's not often you'll need to check the ID of a variable, but for educational purposes it's good to know how storage works. We were to use the ID function to check the storage location in a memory for a variable. When a list is stored in a memory, each item is given its own location. Changing the value using index notation will change the value stored within that memory block. Now, if a variable's value is another variable, like so, changing the value at a specific index will change the value for both lists. So let's see an example. If you go ahead and run that cell, you're going to get several outputs here. The first is printing out the values of both list variables to show that they have the same values. The second print statement will output the location in memory for each list's first item. Then lastly, after we change the value of the first item within our A list,